Good morning. It is August the 1st, a whole new month. A whole new month. Hopefully my microphone is working. I recharged it, and I think that's what the problem was. I hope that's what the problem was. If this isn't working, tell me. I'm going to head down to South Wascana Centre today. I haven't walked down there for quite a while, and I haven't been around the lake, so this will kind of take us by part of the lake, and then down by the various government buildings, down by the Wascana Rehab Centre, Mackenzie Art Gallery, and through some of the parkland over there and back. I wanted to get out and do it early because it's going to be another hot day. It's currently pretty pleasant at about 18, 20, but it's going to be 32, so now is the time to walk. Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their live stream. Tomorrow I head off to Calgary, so this may be the last walk for a while. I might do one in Calgary. No more than one, I would think. Maybe around the hotel somewhere, but I'll take this with me, but I'm not promising anything. So part of today is getting ready for that. I have a reception highlighting Chautauqua Press. And I'm going to When Words Collide, which is a great literary convention there. And I'm on a number of panels, but one of the sessions is highlighting Chautauqua Press, so I have to have at least some Chautauqua Press titles with me. I can't take them all, there's too many, but some of the recent ones. I can't take a lot, but maybe 3 copies of several of them, kind of thing. And some of my own books, maybe, for autographing. On the other hand, I also have to leave room for suitcase, so I can't load it up the way I would if I were going to a Comic-Con or something like that, where I would have a table. There's one of those coming up too, because the one in Regina is in September. I'll be selling books there again, of course. See what the situation is here. I doubt we can use the underpass. I have to use the crosswalk because I can't imagine that sinkhole has gone anywhere on the other side of the bridge that I've walked by now several times. I don't see using the underpass until they've somehow finished with the sinkhole, and we'll see. If it's open, we'll go through the underpass. Just don't see how it can be. That will take us by the west end of the lake. Everything is at its peak landscaping appeal right now. As we're into August, we've got a good 6 to 7 weeks before you can expect the frost to kill all the flowers, or start killing the flowers. Although, it's not impossible to get a frost even late August or early September. Just hope that's not the case. The flowers were gone by the time of our wedding anniversary, our wedding date, back in 97. Yeah, there's no way you can go through the underpass, even though it doesn't seem to be blocked at this end. It can't be open on the other end. I don't think so. So this is where we will go. Push or wave it button. Oh, I never noticed it said push or wave. There's the ledge over there. You can see it's a bit on the cloudy side in that direction. probably some rain over there, but hopefully that's it's unlikely to come at us from that direction. Looking down the ridge. Always takes forever for this light to change. Also, it didn't light up, so I hope it's working. I'm not just standing here indefinitely. There it goes. So let's see what's happening with the sinkhole here. This opened up earlier in the summer. Also affects the backyard of a house over there. Nothing much has changed here. It's still a great big concrete bowl with pumps over there. Not that they're pumping anything. And you see the underpass would come out right over there. Right over there. So clearly, even though it didn't seem blocked on the other end, there wouldn't be any point in going through it. There's still water down in the bottom there, so I guess that's why there are pumps there. And here's the lake, of course. Legislative building over there, water looking a little ruffled. Oh, there's pelicans. Yeah, pelicans out there in the middle. And over here, I think those are pelicans. Yeah, definitely pelicans. You often see them on the other side of the spillway, waiting for the fish to get swept over the spillway. So, a little different to see them out here in the main lake. They were one of the happy things that came back when they deepened the lake, because the deepening the lake allowed fish to overwinter. So fish can enjoy the lake, and the pelicans enjoy the fish. However, we're going to go up this way and walk down, not walk around the lake today, but walk up there. So I'm actually going to take a path through the grass up here in a minute. There's the spillway, not that there's much spilling on it, it's been very dry, so it doesn't look like there's much water, if any, going over it. There has to be some, or the creek would dry up. We'll go through the gauntlet of geese here. Dinosaurs. I think I'll actually wander over this way a little bit. Don't want to push through the bushes there. Pick up the path proper over here. Geese on the horizon on the hill there. Now either go up there or go over here. I think I'll go over here and start walking away from Albert Street. Nothing very exciting about walking along Albert Street. So say farewell to the lake for now. I'll Take a scenic tour past the washrooms here. There's our dogs. There's always dogs. Did not get a smile. Don't have anybody watching either. Not live. So I have nobody to tell me whether the sound is working or not. I really think it was just that the battery was dead on the microphone, but that caused it to be a silent walk in Saskatoon, but I don't know that for sure. And with nobody watching live to tell me, it's possible it's possible this is silent as well and I just don't know it, which is always annoying because it means I'm talking to myself. I am talking to myself anyway, but means nobody else will ever hear it. So that's the war memorial over there, the provincial war memorial. Lists names of people killed in the Second World War, First World War, and others since then. And of course, here's the legislative building over here. There you go, nice view of it. I'll take a turn over here because I haven't walked into the memorial very often coming this way. Usually I walk by it. You can see the flags. And First World War is over there. Second World War is here. They need to do something about touching up the text, though. So, a really sobering list of names. Korean War's over here as well, and other operations from then to the present. The older memorials here, and then First World War in here. And the nurses as well. And of course, one of the books that I published through Shadowpaw Press, one of the first books I published was my grandfather-in-law's First World War memoirs. Obviously he survived, or he wouldn't be my grandfather-in-law. But it's called One Lucky Devil, and I highly recommend it if you're interested in war memoirs. It's not entirely about the war, it's all a bit about his early life, but mostly it's his military experience in the First World War. He started as a truck driver and drove an ammunition truck and things like that at some of the big battles. And there's the West Wing. And then he joined the RAF and was a navigator in a Handley Page bomber. These massive 80-foot wingspan, very slow and lumbering bombers. And like just about everybody that flew in a Handley Page bomber, he was shot down. And he finished the war in a prisoner of war camp. And the title came from a military doctor who examined him when he got back and said he was one lucky devil, or should have been dead several times over. Nice little fountain here. Another view. Nice place to sit with your lunch, I guess, if you work in the legislative building. And now we carry on south. To the Mackenzie Art Gallery, technically the T.C. Douglas building. Tommy Douglas was a Saskatchewan premier and father of Medicare, although his legacy is being looked at in national monuments because he was a supporter of eugenics as a young man. Which was the progressive position of the time. Conservatives were against eugenics, progressives were all in. And now the circle has turned, and oh, well, if we're going to start canceling people for holding opinions that we now consider unacceptable, Tommy Douglas has to be looked at too. I don't think anything will come of it. He, after all, was on the right side of things, but by which I mean the left side of things. But it is interesting that it's finally getting some attention. He repudiated that later in life. I have known somebody who worked with him who also said by modern standards he was a misogynist. Didn't really think women were very capable. But that's probably, you can always find something not to like about people who lived in the past, and people in the future will find plenty of things not to like about us. I guarantee it. This is the Walter Scott building, named after the first premier of the province. An older building except for the accessibility entrance here, which is obviously newer. There's the sign. And up next we get another building named after a former premier. And then we get to the T.C. Douglas building. So 3 office buildings named after premiers of increasingly new vintage as you move south along here. Albert Street, of course, is running parallel to us over there behind those trees. All of this is part of Wascana Centre. People sometimes call it Wascana Park, but Wascana Park is just one park within Wascana Centre Authority's purview. So right around the lake is Wascana Park proper, but all of this green space, controlled building and so forth, is part of Wascana Centre. Hello, crow. Caw, 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 caw. I have had people watching at the moment. It says 5 on YouTube, so hello, I hope you can hear me. Nobody has chimed in to say that there's a sound problem, so I'm hoping that means there isn't. But if you are on YouTube and you can hear me, dropping me a line that says you can hear me would be appreciated. Here comes the next office building named after a former premier. I've been in this one. I guess I've been in the Walter Scott one too, but I was there not that long ago, down in the basement. Government printing is down there. But over on that corner over there is where the environment department was, and I did some writing for them, or editing really, for a website about research on the boreal forest. That was quite a while ago now. It doesn't seem like that long ago, but it actually was. So this one, well, it was recolored, like the facade was given a facelift a while ago. It's more attractive now than it was. And the color makes it kind of blend into the scenery, which is kind of nice in Wascana Centre. And then the next one coming up down there is the T.C. Douglas building. There's a flock of scooters, or whatever the collective noun for scooters is. So this is Lloyd Place, named after, I didn't have to point it there, there's another sign, named after another former premier. Nobody has said they can hear me. This worries me. Please, if you're on YouTube and you can hear me, just leave a quick comment and say, I can hear you. That would be grand. Not that I'll change anything, because for all I know, you can hear me fine, but I did not see a message that said anything had been disconnected, so I hope it can still be heard. My microphone has a green light that says it's connected, so. Okay, we will walk behind the T.C. Douglas building here. And perhaps go up the steps and over and walk down to the Wascana Rehab Centre. That's the T.C. Douglas building. Quite a nice design with the reflects the prairie, and of course you have even the greenery growing on the stepped back balconies. Mackenzie Art Gallery is down at this end. Someone on Facebook too. If you can hear me, please tell me you can hear me. Someone tell me. Tell me. Am I talking into silence? We've had outdoor events of all sorts in this big bowl. I don't know what the technical name of it is. I think everybody calls it the bowl. Here's the back of the T.C. Douglas building. Of course there are geese. There are always geese. Oh, good morning, Tiffany. Can you hear me? Tiffany? Anyone? Anyone? Anyone at all? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? I'm afraid I'm silent again. Yes. Oh, good. Thank you. I've been desperate for somebody to tell me that ever since I walked in Saskatchewan on Friday and it was silent the entire time. Okay, so I was right. It was the battery on my microphone being exhausted. Okay, so we'll come up this way, go straight across and down. Look at the building here. They're sad looking little flower plots. Nothing's been watered, it looks like. Okay, back down the stairs and to our left, which will take us to the Wascana Rehab Centre. This way. Heading east again now. So we're basically at the south edge of Wascana Centre. You get condos and other things on the other side of, what is that street? Whatever that street is. Over here, you're still in the parkland. Although there are a few government facilities here, like the offices I've walked by and Wascana Rehab up here, which is just what it sounds like. Change hands. This is a slightly heavier gimbal than my old one, and it's very noticeable after about this point in the walk. I have to switch hands. Because how long have we been here now? Coming up on the half-hour mark. This will be a good hour-long walk by the time I get back, I think. A bit further than most of what I've been doing. More like what I used to do, and will do again, especially, hint, hint, if enough people subscribe to the channel that I can start monetizing it, and that will give me great incentive to get out every day and walk, because I'll make more money the more live streaming I do. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. I'm only about 70, when was the last time I looked? 77 subscribers to go to 1,000. Now I'm going to have to cut across the grass, I think, if I keep going this way. So let's do that. I don't know if that path over there connects. I don't think it does. Yeah, it doesn't. So cut through the grass, which obviously has been watered, both because it's green and because it seems to be squeaking under my feet. Dodge the spruce tree. I'm going to go on up here to the sidewalk because there's usually people in wheelchairs and things sitting, or sometimes sitting in front here. Been in here a couple of times. I sang here. My story about this place is years and years ago I sang here. It went over very well. I am a good singer after all. But one of the songs I chose to do was Don't Get Around Much Anymore, and it was only, in retrospect, I realized that might not be the best song to sing at a rehab center. Miss the Saturday dance, that one. You heard they crowded the floor. Awfully different without you. Don't get around much anymore. Here's the front of the Wascana Rehab Center with a waiting taxi. There's also a bus stop up here, which is why this person is waiting. Now that song's stuck in my head. Darling, I guess my mind's more at ease, but nevertheless, I stir up memories. Been invited on dates. Might have gone, but what for? It's awfully different without you. Don't get around much anymore. Here comes the bus she was waiting for. Wall shakers, it says on the front. We will now carry on over into the parkland over here. Broad paths for people in wheelchairs to be pushed along. You will. Well, the question here is always which way to go. We'll go up this way so I can check out. There's a pond. Well, sometimes it's a pond, but when it's really dry, it's not a pond. Let's see if it's a pond right now. There you can see residential on the other side of that street. is that street number? Too low to be, too far north to be 25th. 20 something. Ahead of us. I've occasionally walked there or walked home from there. And I have walked in that neighborhood more than once, but not today. I could have gone somewhere else today because I do have a car, but uh-oh, unstable transmission. Stop that. It's the trees. Hang in there. Oh, there we go. Now, I can go down here and go even further down, so let's do that. It's kind of a grid, so forth. There's even some artwork, which I think we'll go by in a minute. And unstable internet again. Doesn't usually fail, but it will buffer, which means I don't know how much of my monologue, not a dialogue, is getting through. It is dialogue, but it's a monologue. So really, I shouldn't call it dialogue, but we think of dialogue as anything that's spoken. But really, dialogue is two people talking. Distinction that nobody makes. This is the tree farm over here, city tree farm. On the other side of that fence. Come on, find the signal. Give me a more reliable signal. I did not expect to run into transmission issues down here, but I guess you never do expect to run into things like that. How much buffering you're seeing. That's the Connexus Art Centre over there in the distance. Oh, there the warning has gone away, so hopefully I am non-buffering again. There's a piece of artwork up here. We'll stop and look at. There you go. It's called wrap. Tension or comfort. Is the eye being constrained and controlled by the wrapped bar, or is it being encircled and embraced? You decide. There it is. Make your decision. Now we're going to go down this way, I think. More interesting than this way. To go around this tree, which also has a plaque on it. Specifically, what does it say? Saskatchewan Missing Persons Tree. There you go. Memorial for missing persons. I know of at least one, somebody that I knew quite well at one point that vanished without a trace. Used to do shows with him. He just went out one day and never came back. There's color on that tree. Don't tell me it's already going to fall foliage. It's a little early for that. Must just be that kind of tree. I don't know what that kind of tree that is, but all right. Another look down these nice treed pathways. We'll go up here, I think. So we've turned the corner, literally, and are now heading back towards my house. The main part of the park and the lake is just not too far in that direction, behind a few layers of trees. There, you can get a glimpse of it through the trees right there, just a bit of water. There's some nice picnic areas over here. Not a lot of shade, but nice tables anyway. You could have come up this way all the way from where we went into this part of the park. But we're going this way. Not going over to the lake proper. We'll stay over on this side, at least for a bit here. I might go over there. Haven't decided yet. See how it plays out. We'll make this very inefficient corner. Obviously, if the path went straight across there, it would have been more direct. But these paths aren't about directness, they're about aesthetics. Now we're coming up on the backside of the Wascana Rehab Centre. The little yellow flags are marking power or gas lines. I don't know why they're marking them. That would generally indicate they're planning to dig along here for some reason. Does it say power or gas? Wrong side of the sign. Sask Energy, natural gas pipeline. So that's what those yellow flags are marking in the yellow paint on the sidewalk. And up that way. So they must be planning to do something out here, or there'd be no need to mark them. This little shelter thing over here at one point had tourism panels in it. I was here for the opening of this thing back in the 90s. And when I was communications officer at the Saskatchewan Science Centre, it must have been right around 1990 or even 89, somewhere in there. And we had a big poster in there. You can see how big they would have been. They kind of spanned the spaces. But at some point, they did away with the posters and the tourism idea, and it just became a shelter. Here's some prairie lilies, our provincial flower, actually. All right, now I decide, do I go over into the lakeside or do I keep on this way? It's kind of an outdoor gym there, part of Wascana Rehab again. I think I will go across and walk along some of the paths further from the lake. I'll end up by the lake again momentarily. I'm not planning to walk along it because that's not the day for it. Normally I do those on Fridays. It is not a Friday. It is a Tuesday. I had to think a minute, but yeah, it's a Tuesday. Tuesday afternoon. Old Moody Blues song, but it's not afternoon, of course. And there's some monuments and things here that I almost never stop at, so here's one. It's just very nice in here. Always like to point out, people say, oh, it's such beautiful, natural. Well, none of this is natural. All these trees were planted a long time ago now, but they were all planted. It's our natural environment here is prairie, grassland. So every tree in Regina was planted by somebody. When I worked at the city, filling in for somebody who was on adoption leave for the city. So I did it, and at the time there were 250,000 trees in Regina, all planted by someone. Now the number would be higher, I'm sure. And the trouble with trees is it's once again interfering with my feed here, so I apologize for the buffering. Nothing I can do about it. We'll go up here by the totem pole. Go. To mark the centennial, I think, of their coming into Confederation, if I remember right. Now, our path is best taken this way, I think, because that one, although there is a path, there's also a mower on it, and it's somewhat muddy. So I think we will join the main track here briefly. It would join up here anyway. But I'm not going to stay on this path. I'm going to go back over to Albert Street. We will maybe stop at the lookout and take a look at the lake here this morning. That's where the noise is coming from. I think the lookout is still coming. This is where the path would have brought us had I continued along it. Anyway, so not much of a change. Oh, well, maybe we missed the outlook. It was further back. Well, we'll go out onto the, so there's a little water outlet up here, pump station of some kind. We can go out on the other side of it and take a look at the lake. Almost the same thing. Another flock of scooters. Let's take a look at Spruce Island over there. Of course, the island's every bit as artificial as the lake. And then here's the water outlet down here. You can see part of the aeration of the water in the lake. Keep it weed-free and benefit any fish that might live in it. Well, maybe I'll go on up. We can walk by the tennis courts if we keep on going this way. And after all, I've missed walking around the lake again last Friday, and we'll miss it again this Friday. Try to get back to it the week after that. My challenge is always time. If I'm really trying to get something done on the publishing side of things, first thing in the morning it seems like a huge imposition to walk, and if I don't do it first thing in the morning, it feels like even more of an imposition later in the day, and I just don't do it unless I'm walking downtown, which is why there's so many videos of me walking downtown. Plus, of course, I'm without a car most days with my daughter working and my wife working. We have two cars, but they take each take one, and that leaves me with none. The Holodomor Memorial over here, marking Stalin's genocide of Ukrainians through famine. Stalin was a monster, probably a worse monster than Hitler in some ways. Not that it's easy to choose between monsters at that level. Anyway, it's a starving child is what the statue represents. I believe Saskatchewan was the first government to recognize the Holodomor as a genocide, but not the last. We do have a large Ukrainian population going way back, and more now because of refugees. You'll still see the Ukrainian churches, and I can hear the tennis players. Come up here a little further, we can take a walk by the tennis courts as we leave the lake at that point. Good morning, Moby. Moby, good morning. So along here, there is a path to the tennis courts. It's where these cars are parked. And there's also a path to the Bliss Bistro here, which I've never taken advantage of, but there is a little cafe attached to the tennis club. So here we'll go. Here's the tennis courts. They've been here a long time, these. Probably as long as the legislative building has, or even longer. Legislative building was built in around 1912. Looks like lessons going on. To my right. Oof. Tree root had pushed up the pavement there. And they're just playing over here, it looks like. And here's the clubhouse. I think they even have a couple of washrooms here that I never knew about. Don't think we'll take that route. Here's the Bliss Bistro. Don't know what they serve. Someday I should really stop and find out. And then this path will take us up behind the legislative building. In front of us there. And we will go this way now. Right in front of us is the fountain I walked by earlier. My intention is to cross Albert Street now and go across Albert Street Bridge on that side to get us back to my neighborhood. So I'm not repeating myself too much this morning. There we go. There's the dome of the legislative building. And the back of it, which looks very much like the front. Change hands again. The weight of this gimbal. That's the Walter Scott building over there that I walked by earlier. That's an old building, power station originally. I don't know if it still provides emergency power to the ledge or what. Or a heating plant. I'm not sure exactly what it does these days. And I am working up a sweat, even though it's way cooler than it's going to be. The sun is warm, and it is, by Saskatchewan standards, pretty muggy, which is not muggy by most of the world standards, but because we're such a dry climate, it's unusual to feel muggy. Yeah, it's not really muggy, but people were complaining about it. Why don't we go this way? There's steps here that'll take us to this sidewalk that leads down from the west wing here of the legislative building. Twin engine plane flying over. Not a healthy looking tree, that one. If it looks like that in August, I'm pretty sure it's dead. Another look at the back of the ledge there. You have to watch out because you have to go down. You don't want to be looking straight ahead on your gimbal when you reach unexpected steps. That way lies death and destruction. So there'll be a slight overlap here as I go by the War Memorial again. My earlier part of the walk. How long has it been so far? 51 minutes? Yeah, this will be a good solid hour when I get home. I don't know what the plants are, but I smell something here. It smells quite appetizing. Something in the flower bed. So I walked by over there when I started. I'm going to turn left up here and go over to Albert Street and cross and walk down Albert to get home. Flock of geese. They're everywhere. And again, there's the front of the legislature coming into view. They're not terribly scared of people. Sometimes they'll hiss at you when you go by. That's about it. There are people who are scared of them, but, well, somebody, if you read, you'll say, oh, the blow of a goose's wing can break your leg. Well, I find that hard to believe, that even if it were true, they simply don't do that if you're just walking by. Why do I find it hard to believe? Because their bones are very light and fragile, and yours aren't. So, maybe I'm wrong, but to me it seems unlikely. I think this light is about to change, so hopefully I'll cross right here. Yep, there we go. If I move fast enough, I may miss it. I'm going to miss it. It's going to change before I get across. So we'll go this way. It's a nice bit of the flower beds here. There's the ledge behind them. Let's see, if I move over here, do I get a more attractive shot? Maybe. Except for that car that just drove by. All right, we'll go up and cross at the next corner. That one has lights that change more frequently and hold longer in both directions. This is a very long, straight, treed sidewalk if you walk along here. This is why I chose to go further in and walk along the more interesting buildings to start the walk. Glad my house is air conditioned. Get home, get some more coffee. Keep on writing my short story for Shapers of Worlds Volume 4. That's actually something I've worked on the last 2 days, and it's been great. I haven't been writing fiction because of all the publishing stuff. Plus I have a nonfiction book I have to concentrate on now. But I had to get this written because that book is coming out to backers this fall and to the general public in January. So, yeah, I need to get it written. And it just about is. I think I can finish a first draft today. And then I'll edit it again a couple of times. I won't call it finished just yet. I still have to edit almost everybody else's stories for the book. 19 stories in all, counting mine. And I've only edited about 3 of them, so that has to be a priority as well. Everything's a priority. It just doesn't really work, but that's the way it is when you're self-employed. I'm sure this one should change in a moment as well. So this should work out better. We'll cross over here. And there it goes. Perfect timing. Looking up Albert Street. This will take us down by Rotary Park, but I'm not going that way because I don't want to walk as far as the footbridge. So that's over there to the left is Rotary Park. I'll bet you those pelicans are in the lake proper because the spillway is not spilling so they're not getting fish coming over the spillway. So they had to go look for them in the lake proper. Makes sense. I don't know if it's true or not. It's an old joke, I guess it's a joke, about how there are some things so stupid that only an intellectual can believe them. Because if you're smart, you're capable of rationalizing or reasoning your way into anything, no matter how objectively insane it might be, which I think applies to a lot of current opinions you are supposed to hold. Some of them are so insane that you wonder how anybody could possibly believe them, but I think smart people argue themselves into believing them, and then people who look up to smart people go along with what they say, or celebrities or whoever. Celebrities and smart people are, I don't know how much overlap there is in the Venn diagram for those two, but anyway. And you know, I naturally believe everything I believe is pretty much true, so although I do try to be humble about it and try to remind myself that I could be wrong. I think on X, everything would be better if there was an automated system so that every tweet started with, or whatever you called it now, started with, I could be wrong, but, and then whatever it was you wanted to post. I think that would be very helpful. Yes, so there's the creek, looking west, and our lovely bridge here with the terracotta balustrade. The old lamp posts. The lake, of course, is just the other side. I don't know what those flags are. They're purple. Oh, they're for the Queen City X. That's right. The exhibition, the fair, is coming up. Oh, probably this week. I'm gonna miss it though. Don't go. I might have thought about taking a walk. Maybe not in the. Well, I don't know. Maybe in the fairground proper. Would be interesting, although a little bit fraught. You don't know who you're going to run into and how they'll react to you pointing a camera at them. But I don't want to pay to get in, so that's kind of... Anyway, we won't be here, so that's not going to happen. We'll take a walk through the exhibition area. The Midway is only a small portion of what goes on at the X, of course. There's agricultural competitions and handicrafts and all the stuff that you expect to see at a fair. If you live in the States, it'd be a state fair. We don't have a provincial fair, but the Queen City X and the Saskatoon exhibition would be the two closest to that. They're the biggest. We only have two cities of size. This one in Saskatoon, where I walked, apparently silently, on Friday. I do know who lives there, but I still haven't been in that house. Now I'm repeating myself, retracing my initial steps of the walk to get back to the house. It's Harrington Mews, where Wally Knight lives in my Shards of Excalibur series. As I like to say, in a fictional house in a very real location. There's a few things like that in the book. There's a coffee shop I called the Human Bean, which is roughly located where there really is a coffee shop by a different name, but it was the one I was thinking of. I just renamed it. I use the Human Bean whenever I need a coffee shop in a book. It's called the Human Bean. We actually have one called the Naked Bean here that my daughter likes a lot. It's pretty good. I don't go there to write though. I'll cross here so I'm not chasing them. Little garden thing down here at the end, although not much happening in it. There are sunflowers in it, but I don't know if they've either not budded out or they're just not, or they've fallen off. I don't know which. I walk up the street because it's one way, so if anybody comes around the corner, I'll see them and get out of the way. The nice houses over here. This is Angus Boulevard. We live on Angus Crescent, and there's also an Angus Street, so Angus got himself well represented Some old city councillor, probably. I guess I could go along Leopold here, just haven't done that for a while, just to vary the path. It only adds a small distance to the walk, very small. So we'll go along Leopold here. Some of these houses that I don't walk by nearly as often. Like our crescent, has these lovely old elms arching over it. Every now and then we lose one. It's chopped down for some reason. Over time they will, I guess, all go away, but there's plenty of there's lots of spruce trees around here too, and other greenery. So anyway, I expect most of them will still be here when I'm gone. I like that house, the looks of it anyway. I've never been inside. Unless they have a fountain, though it's not running at the moment, looks like. Right there. It's kind of grand. This house I've been in, Alice had a friend who used to live there. We were in there quite a few times. Nice old house. This old house. Nice backyard too. We were at a few barbecues back there. Somewhere along here is a house where when I was taking pictures for Historic Walks of Regina and Moose Jaw, oh, this one's for sale if you're looking. Want to be my neighbor? Kind of my neighbor. Somewhere along here was a house I was taking pictures for Historic Walks of Regina and Moose Jaw, and a woman came out and asked me what the heck I was doing. And this one, I often point out, starred in a movie with Linda Carter. It was filmed on location here in Regina, and they used the interiors of this house, which is somewhat unusual. It wasn't a sound. We didn't have a soundstage then. It's called Family Blessings. Some kind of cop story, I think. I've never watched it. It's probably available somewhere. Yeah, Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, TV Wonder Woman. Not Gal Gadot, who's the current Wonder Woman. Like some work about to happen here. That truck went by me a minute ago. Window washers. We could use window washing. I should remember the name. Our real problem isn't necessarily the outside of the windows, it's the inside of the windows. We actually need to replace the windows in the front of the house, but again, it doesn't seem likely to happen soon. Well, since I came this way, I'll stop in front of my stop sign, so that's it for today. Thanks for walking with me. I don't know when I'll be back. Might be a week. I might try to squeeze one in Calgary. Don't know yet. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. That way you'll know as soon as I do another video. Bye for now.